Hello, everyone. It's Double Shine here, and today we got our first look at the next season of Deadman, which is coming out on the 30th of January. So, just about 3 months from now. If you've never played Deadman before, it's a seasonal mode just like Leagues or Gridmaster, but the main gimmick is that you can basically do PvP almost anywhere. There's a couple safe zones, like a couple banks, but the vast majority of the game is completely open for you to PvP and kill other players. And not only that, but you can also take their loot as well. So there's a lot more risk when you're going out and doing stuff. And it feels very similar to a game like Rust or Arc Raiders, where, yeah, there's a game and you're still doing stuff. But you always have to be wary of other players who might be looking to kill you and steal that for themselves instead. And I'm really excited with today's blog because they've outlined a number of changes that I think will make the game mode feel a lot more fun and just a lot more fair for many players. If I had to sum up the changes in one word, it would be engaging. And I mean that quite literally because I think more than ever, you're being asked and being encouraged to engage with a lot of different elements of the game and a lot of different ways that you can play Deadman mode. In the past, I think there's always been a split of play styles. You have the like predator play style where your goal is to go out and hunt other players, kill them, steal their loot, and that's how you make a lot of money. And then the prey style, which is something I usually do, and that's where you're going out, you're killing monsters, you're skilling, you're basically playing the game and trying to run away from the people who are trying to hunt you. And I really feel like these changes are going to integrate the two play styles into one, where you're kind of encouraged to take part in both of these. So let's get into it with the first major change, and that's bank keys. Now, in previous Deadmans, not only did you lose all your inventory and all your equipment when somebody killed you, but you also lost the 10 most valuable stacks from your bank. And that is being removed entirely. There's an old adage when it comes to the wilderness and PvP in RuneScape, which is, don't risk what you don't want to lose. And I think more than ever, that's going to be applicable to Deadman mode. Basically, whatever you take with you, that's what you're risking when you go out into the world. But whatever you've got in your bank, that's kind of your permanent account progression. You can hold on to that and kind of accumulate that wealth without losing that because of a death. Now, I know a lot of people like the risk involved with losing, part of your bank whenever you kill somebody. However, I just feel like it's never really worked out in practice. Many players will use a separate account to just hold all their resources in like a safe area, or they'll use like a clan bank, like an alt that just holds everything for the clan. Even outside of that, one thing you could do to like bypass it was just buy like a stack of thousands of like like trout or salmon or something like that, or iron ore, just a bunch of just like useless resources in the game, because that would basically become your most valuable stack. And I think because this like bank key system of losing the 10 things in your bank has never really worked out and it's too easy to bypass the rule, I just think that this is a wonderful change. It's something that I think really needed to happen. And I was personally not that interested in Deadman mode until I saw this change. And this has really made me interested in playing again. I think this is going to feel a lot more fun for players to go out knowing what they're risking and not feeling like their bank is getting destroyed when they die. One of the best things about this change is how easy it's going to be to re-gear after you die. Like if you want, for example, you could just buy like a ton of black d'hide and mystic sets and basically go bossing and doing all of that stuff. And if you've played Gridmaster, I'm sure you know how long a set of mystics can carry you for when you have all of these power-ups through different relics. One of the biggest things about Deadman is that dying is just like a natural part of the game. Like you're never going to get away from that. Everybody dies. But I think that this is just going to feel a lot better because there's not going to be that same tedium in selling a bunch of stuff or rebuying all your gear, checking to see what you lost, checking to see what your bank stacks is. I think all of that is just being gone. You can just have your set ready to go for you. You can pick it up and just get right back into playing the game. You don't have to sit there and micromanage your bank or your like whole deposit box over and over again. So I absolutely love this change, and I think it is just going to shape Deadman mode moving forward because it's just a great change. Next up, let's talk about sigils. This is the Deadman equivalent of relics. Basically, it's powerful unlocks that you can get that will boost your character. Now, in previous Deadman modes, you would get these as an item. It would basically drop randomly. However, that's being changed now, where now you'll be able to buy sigils and get those powers by spending skull points, which is the currency that you get similar to Leagues points or Gridmaster points by engaging with the game and actually doing a lot of different content. Things like leveling, killing bosses, doing diaries, all of that stuff gives you more points that you'll be able to spend and actually get the relics that you want to kind of specialize in a certain area instead of having to basically hope that you get lucky and then trade with other players. Now, here are my high scores from the last Deadman mode. I actually did get top page for like the Deadman points. And one of the things I really loved about it is that it encouraged you to do a lot of different content because you got points for the more content that you did. So instead of just camping one boss, I did a lot of different bosses. I did a lot of different skilling. And I really love that this skull point system is an integral part of the game now. It's not just something that you will be doing to buy cosmetics or you'll be doing to get on the high scores. You're actually going to have to engage with the system to progress your character and unlock those more powerful upgrades. This means that PKers who are just there to kill you, they're going to be wasting their time because you don't actually get points for killing other players, right? If you're actually skilling, if you're killing bosses, you're going to get to those better unlocks before they do because they're not actually, getting anything from killing other players. And that's going to force them to take a step back from PvP and, actually go kill some bosses for once. This is what I mean by making a more engaging game mode. Even PvPers still have to engage with the system. They still have to acquire skull points to get those unlocks. I always hated the fact that if you wanted to, you could just buy everything from other players. I don't know if I mentioned this, but unlike the other seasonal modes, Deadman mode is not Iron Man, so you can trade with other players. And you can also swap gold from the main game. And it always sucked getting killed by somebody who like just bought all their gear. Like they didn't earn any of it, they just bought it from other players. And then they're just going around killing everybody. And now that's not going to be the case anymore. Now, in addition, most sigils will now be permanent. There'll be unlocks that you can get and activate instead of having to only activate 3 at a time and then having to deactivate them and basically juggle a whole bunch of different sigils. Now, with the exception of PvP sigils, where you'll still get your 3 PvP based sigils that you'll be able to choose from, all of those skilling sigils, things that will like improve your gathering skills, that will give you agility while you run, all of those sigils will now be just a permanent unlock. So it'll feel very similar to Gridmaster, where as you complete more and more, and then you purchase more and more of these sigils, you're just getting a stronger and stronger character. And again, you're not going to be able to just buy that from other players. You're actually going to have to earn those upgrades. And I think it's going to feel a lot more fun to just progress your character and slowly get these unlocks instead of like, oh, I want to train Hunter. Let's go buy the Hunter sigil, train it for like an hour, and then sell it back to people like that. I didn't really like that system. And I feel like there's a lot more investment into making your build personal to you now. And most importantly, you'll still have those PvP sigils when you go and do skilling or bossing or anything like that. This means that you'll actually have a chance to fight back now, which I think is something that was really missing in the last Deadman mode. It's kind of like if I asked you, do you want a pickaxe or a sword if you're going to go mining? Well, if you're going to go mining, you kind of need to pick the pickaxe, right? But then you just lose to the person who has a sword. And it almost felt like there was no point in ever fighting back because if they have 3 combat oriented sigils and you have 3 gathering oriented, like skilling sigils, you just had no chance against them. And now because those are split, you'll actually be able to fight back. So if somebody wants to, mess with you, you actually at least have a shot. So there's at least some incentive to bring some gear and be ready to fight back and hold your spot. And there's also some incentive to mess up anybody else who's there, So I think that's one of the coolest parts is that even if you're somebody who likes doing skilling, even if you're somebody who likes just bossing and stuff like that, I feel like you're encouraged to engage with PvP and try it out a bit more because now you have that option and it's not like something that you're trading out for. So you still have the option of PvPing, even if you want to do a skilling route. I know that some of my favorite moments in the last Deadman mode were fighting with players with like completely garbage gear. Like we were just there to skill, but we both wanted the spot. And it was kind of like we were like staring at each other, like, oh, are you going to world hop? Because if you don't world hop, I'm probably gonna fight you for it, And I think those are really, really fun moments, and I really love that. And I hope that that's something that we see a lot more this year. In addition, you'll also be able to buy quest chain unlocks using those skull points, which means that, now there's also a trade-off of are you going to use your skull points to unlock some of the stronger relics, some of the stronger sigils, or are you going to go for a quest chain unlock? Maybe you unlock the entire elf quest line and now you can start doing corrupted gauntlet when nobody else has access to it. I just absolutely love this because I think it's going to encourage a lot of different experimentation and a lot of different builds and really just be kind of free flow for a lot of different play styles. And if you want to, you can still do the quests and get the experience that way as well. So this is amazing. I really hope we see this for all future seasonal modes because I think you should be able to just unlock quests spending some kind of currency. One of the most frustrating things about the last Deadman mode was that you got a random sigil when you started. You could get a completely trash one that was worthless, or you could get one that like let you automatically train agility when you ran. And that one, like that sigil was so broken. It was so good. And it just felt awful if you didn't get like the really powerful sigil. Like some people would like make alts and just log in just to try to like feed the sigils to their mains. And I'm so glad all that's being gone now. And now the kind of point progression is a integral part of the game, something everybody has to engage with, and you can't just like bypass it by trading or making alts. Like none of that. Now, when it comes to these seasonal modes, I think you should really be playing it because you enjoy it. Like it should be something that you do for fun. However, there are some rewards. Those points that you get can be spent on cosmetics, which carry over to the main game. In particular, I really love this like Bofa and crystal armor ornamental kit. It looks so damn good. And I think this is definitely going to be like one of the hottest purchases that you can get with your like Deadman points. So yeah, this thing's gonna go for a lot. And all the Deadman cosmetics last year sold for some pretty good money. So if that's something you're interested in, I mean, you can make quite a bit of bank by playing Deadman mode. Outside of that, you are allowed to swap gold between the main game and the Deadman servers. There's no like official way of doing it, which is something I really hope that they look into. However, there are a number of like Discord servers that will basically like they're trusted. They've been doing this for a really, really long time, and they're not going to like scam you. But usually there's some kind of swap rate that you can do, and it's quite high in the first couple of days, especially because people will pay a lot of money in the main game to get some of your money in Gridmaster so that they can, trade and buy items without having to go and get it themselves. The economy is pretty crazy in the first week, and that's one of the things I really love, especially if you're like one of the first people to get to some of those big ticket items, big Slayer items, things like that. Like you can make a lot of money, swap it over, and walk out with hundreds of mil in the main game. So that's what I really like to do, and it's always a good time just making some pretty nice cash. Now, there are a number of other changes, but I did want to talk about some of the miscellaneous changes that I think are the most interesting and they probably should keep an eye out for. First off, sailing will not be enabled. We are getting sailing in like a week now, but I think it's a little too early to add that to a seasonal mode, and it probably is difficult to plan everything in mind. Hopefully next leagues, though, I'm very, very confident that we'll have sailing. So that will be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to see how sailing is implemented when it comes to leagues. Okay, so this one's really big, but you'll actually be able to enter raids even while in combat to prevent bad actors ragging you. This is something that was very, very frustrating, is that every time you went to go do a raid, especially Chambers of Zarek, but also TOA. If there was somebody standing at the entrance and they put you into combat and they attacked you, you couldn't enter the raid. And it's like, okay, well, now you have to like fight for your spot, but you have your full inventory and your full setup that's based around doing the raid. And it was just very, very frustrating. And I'm really glad that they decided to change this. Now, the only thing that I would still really hope that they add is some way of letting you teleport out of a raid. I feel like one of the worst things ever in Deadman mode is like completing a raid, you get a purple item, you're really excited, but you can't teleport out. And now you have to just pray that there's nobody sitting, because there always is somebody sitting there just spam clicking like where you teleport out, just hoping to like tag you with the freeze and kill you. And you're already pretty limited on supplies because you just did the raid. So I hope that they change that and give you a way of teleporting out, or some kind of like immunity for like a couple seconds when you leave, just something so you don't get ragged the second you leave a raid, because it's just so unfun. And in general, I just don't think Deadman mode should be encouraging people to like spawn camp a location. It's kind of bullshit and just really unfun. Another big thing is that you can gain experience inside of instances. However, it's a little bit reduced. Typically, you're getting about 10 times to 20 times the experience in, outside of instances, but you're only going to get 3 times the experience. You still get a pretty good amount, but it's not going to be nearly as rapid as those insane multipliers that you get everywhere else. However, Slayer will still give you full experience, which I think is really awesome because it's going to make bossing a pretty good alternative to training your Slayer. Most of the Slayer zones in the main game are just completely and utterly camped. Like it is so gross trying to do a Slayer task after a couple days, after a week, because everywhere is just completely camped. And now you can like go and do Vorkath for a Blue Dragon task and still get your Slayer up and still progress your tasks without having to deal with just, insane amount of people coming to kill you every time you go and try to get a task done. Finally, I saw this spellbook icon resizing will work across all of Deadman Annihilation. Usually in the Wildy, you can't resize your spellbook. And man, I don't know why that is. Like, it's so dumb. There's so many weird rules for like the wilderness. I really hope that they just get rid of. And I really hope that this is like a test run to see if it could just get integrated in the main game because it's just so stupid that it's not. The only other thing I'll add is I really hope they also make it so that you can shift click to walk under. I just feel like that muscle memory is so built in for me when it comes to like PVM stuff. And then when you go to PvP and you just can't shift click to walk under somebody, like it's so annoying. And I just feel like it really makes PvP unfun when my muscle memory is like kind of going against that. So I hope that's something they also consider as well. Anyways, those are the big changes coming. I'm really excited because I think it's going to do so much for making the game mode just more playable and more fun and more engaging for everybody. I think it really takes away some of the biggest pain points and a lot of the big tedium that I've had with the previous modes. And I'm just really, really glad that they're doing such a great job with, I think, listening to feedback and making the game, I think, a more fun seasonal mode for everybody, not just for people who are in big clans and can kind of afford to go and kill you in giant groups. So I'm really glad, and I really am excited to see kind of the future of Deadman mode with these changes because I think they've been needed for like a long time, and I really hope a lot of people enjoy it. I hope even if you're somebody who's not very good at PvP, I'm not very good at PvP either. You can still go out there, still kill some bosses, and just try your hand at some stuff. Make some pretty good cash by doing it, even with bad gear, because you're not going to be risking that much. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and yeah, I can't wait. So again, Deadman Annihilation, January 30th should be a lot of fun. I'll see you guys there.